which brings me to a different topic that kind of goes in between, which reminds me, which is so funny how things work. When I did 7 to 4 and I finished recording, I remember him and I sitting down on his bed because, it was all in his room.
Yeah.
Very small too, like rectangular, pretty narrow. All you have room for is a bed, place for like your hamper, and the closet where you record. And I remember him sitting down with me saying, "So Michelle, like you need a name."
I was just gonna ask. I was just, because you mentioned your teacher said, "Michelle, will you sing?" I was gonna ask, when did that come up?
Miss Mar wasn't a thing yet.
Okay.
So he was like, "Hey, you need a name." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like I have a name, like my name's Michelle."
Did you not know I'm Michelle?
Right. And so I was releasing music like Wish Upon a Star, that remix that I did, 7 to 4 I released just as Michelle Martinez.
Okay.
Nothing else. But in that conversation, he was like, "Hey, you should do something funky, like, I don't know, just like, I don't know." And I'm like, I really wouldn't know either. I don't know what to call myself. I don't know where to go about it or how to go about it. And I don't know if he had been brainstorming this from the moment that we met, because that was my first time meeting him too. So I was really spontaneous too at that time. Like I said, I went out a lot.
Yeah.
Just roaming around the streets. I'd meet people all the time. And so he was someone that, it was the first time I was meeting him, first time I recorded music in his house. Like he knew nothing about me. I really didn't know too much about him either.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if he was thinking about this in the process of us meeting, but he was like, "You should call yourself Miss Mar."
Oh.
And I was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at the time. Like, at the time I was just like, I guess I wasn't there yet. I was like, I don't know, I guess. Like, I'll think about it.
Did it feel like what, do you remember what you didn't like about it? Was it just uncomfortable or like unfamiliar, or was it like, did it feel bad in any sort of way?
I think it was just unfamiliar. And I think unfamiliar in the way that I was so used to just being Michelle.
Right.
That I couldn't see myself yet as anything other than Michelle.
Right.
So just it wasn't the name that I didn't like. It was just I didn't like having another name.
Right, like as if feel like you're playing a character or something.
I mean, in a way, it's just like, it was just, all I knew was Michelle, so just let me be Michelle.
Right, that makes sense.
Right.
That's really interesting, because I think there are a lot of artists that feel the other way, where they need the name to escape or to like to represent themselves as a separate identity. So that's really compelling that it was the other way for you at first. You had to come to it. Yeah.
So then what was it that made you, like, did you just think about it a bit and then it switched and you wanted to go with Miss Mar?
It took actually years for me to decide to adopt that name. And it wasn't really because of him. He gave out the idea of the name.
Yeah.
But the background behind why I decided to adopt the name is because eventually I started to come out again with more music, and I came out with this freestyle thing on YouTube that, to this day, I think it would have gone viral had I not deleted it.
Okay.
But it's just something that I didn't want to be represented as in the long run. You know what I mean? Like, everything that's on the internet, it lives forever.
Right.
It's true. And it can pop up at any point.
Right. And so I was like, 10 years from now, is this what Michelle wants to be represented as? No. So I deleted it, even though it was already like at 6,000 in a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at the time, that's a big deal because YouTube was kind of fresh.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of courage and like foresight and just like principles.
Absolutely. Great. I didn't want to be known for that. Just the FYI, it was just very sexual and like, it's just, it just didn't make sense for me. And lyrically, I still think it's insane. I mean, it was very well done.
Yeah.
But people are not going to see past that. They're not going to see past the topic. And so they won't be able to like fully engage in the lyrics and the flow and everything that comes with it. So then I released a song, Illispita, and then I released a song called TikTok.
Okay.
Life changing.
Yeah.
I also did. Let me backtrack a little. I did a song called Red Dot Remix,
Yeah.
which was the Mac Miller remix to what he had done, Red Dot, and I called it The Drugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the life changer after the second life changer.
What was so life changing about that?
Well, that's when I adopted the name,
oh,
Miss
okay.
Mar. When I came out with Illispida and when I did that Red Dot music, I realized that because I was doing a remix to someone that has a name already, it just felt like, it just kind of, again, another epiphany where it was like, I need a name. And I didn't know what to call myself. Again. But before I hadn't really thought about it. This time I was thinking about it. I knew that I wanted a name. I knew that I wanted something that would stand out, but something that would have meaning.
Right.
And so I kept battling with what could be a name, what could be a name. And the only name that kept popping up was Miss Mar.
Yeah.
And I kept rejecting it at the same time. I was like, oh, like this is the only name that's coming up, Miss Mar, but I also don't want to take it because this dude just gave it to me, you know?
Right.
I didn't want to just take a name because someone gave it to me.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to come up with a meaning for the name. And when I come up with that meaning, then I'll adopt the name fully.
Right.
If I don't come up with it, then it's not meant to happen. It's not meant to be. It's not my destiny for it to be Miss Mar.
Yeah. And so you figured out a meaning?
Yes, I did. And I think it had a lot to do with the time I was in and just the life that I was living, where a song like TikTok emerges. I was just going through a lot mentally, emotionally, especially for like me just being a kid. Because essentially that is what I was. I mean, I was a teenager, but still, you know, so much to learn. You're still a kid.
Yeah.
So I thought about it. And so the meaning goes as follows. Miss is very simple. Miss is M-I-S-S, which is just young.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you consider a person that is single, not married, Miss.
Yeah.
Very proper, but also metaphorical, young.
Right.
And then Mar. I was always being told like Mar reminds people of the planet Mars, you know, Mars. And I'm like, how can I perhaps adapt that in a way that represents who I am? And the truth is Mars is a color that I really like, red.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I like red and blue, but I really like red. And Mars is a place that's like so far away, but it's also so close to the Earth. You know, if you think about it scientifically.
It's attainable.
Right. But at the same time, Mars once had life, and now it doesn't. But there's still water creeping up here and there.
Yeah.
You know? So there's always that theory and that myth that like maybe there will one day be life again in Mars.
Right.
Which I just think that very much speaks to like my surroundings and my life. I see a lot of people coming and going. When you live in places like, you know, the places that I've lived, you see so many things that make you feel like life is lifeless, but then you're instantly reminded that no, life is going and it's alive and you are very much alive. And so I wanted that to represent, you know, the idea that there's still life out there creeping, just like in planet Mars. And again, that color red comes up again because red represents so many things like love and hate and lust and blood and fire, and it's just all these things that are so real and so true to what life is and what life could also not be, and like life after death. And it's just I just wanted that to tie together, and so that's what that reminds me of. So Mar, you know, Mars, the planet, the color red, and then it's also half of my name, which is I think the reason why the guy originally gave it to me, because Michelle Martinez, so I think he just did that. But, you know, I also wanted to take that because it is, you know, some part of my name, but it's interesting that it's only a very short syllable of my name, which kind of leaves it at this like to be continued, you know, because there's still so much left, but I decided not to finish it all. So I guess as a whole, what it represents just to backtrack a little, is Mars, planet, being unattainable but also reachable, and life and after death. And then the color that represents so many things. And then half of my name that is like to be continued. And then you join it together with Miss is me, Miss Mar, a young woman just trying to make it.
Yeah.
Just trying to reach that.
Yeah.
And that's really what Miss Mar represents.
That's great.
Young and just trying to make it.
I like that.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so compelling how you came about it too, in this way that I think a lot of, when you describe it, I know it resonates with me, where it's like sometimes people hang something on you and it's kind of annoying, but it sticks with you, and then you got to work through that, and then you like end up owning it at the end,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that can relate to a lot of people. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this segment. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button so that the algorithms that run our lives can continue to spread the joy that is this podcast.
Yeah, hit that little like button to spread the joy through the algorithms.